Hi, and welcome everybody to the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Channel. It's Wednesday, October the 18th, and like every Wednesday, I'm Ross Benjamin, by the way,
Hey, Ross.
and I am joined by my esteemed guest, Mr. Sean Higgs and Mr. Jesse Schule. Guys, how are you?
Doing great, Ross. Doing great.
Sean?
I'm hanging in. I busted out a new color today.
Yeah, I see that. You look like an Army cadet now. You look like one of the cadets at an Army game with a blue shirt instead of a gray shirt. You look good, buddy. Thank you.
I figured, I have the black Nike, and I have a black kind of like a polo.
Yeah.
And I have the white. I got two white Nikes. But I don't know if people notice the different emblems. So I'm like, you know what? I better roll out a different color.
Yeah, there you go. So diversity, my man.
Yes.
Diversity.
I do have more than 3 shirts. I have like 6.
So. And you expand into wardrobe because of the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Podcast, styling and profiling, looking like the successful guy that he actually is. All right. A lot of good things going on at gamblersWORLD.net right now, where you'll find all 3 of us. And if you look at the leaderboards at gamblersWORLD.net, the top 3 guys the last 7 days, Sean is number 1, Jesse number 2, Ross number 3. Last 30 days, Ross number 1, Jesse number 2, Sean number 3. So, and then if you want to go back 60 days, we have to leave Sean out of the equation, but you can see he's hot right now. But I'm number 1 the last 60 days, and Jesse's number 3. So, like Jesse told you yesterday, seems like we know what we're doing a little bit, huh, Jesse?
Well, I don't know. Some guy in the comments said that my take on the quarterback situation in the Big Ten game this week is beyond dumb. So I told the guy, I said, open invitation to come on one of these shows and talk back at me and have your say. And don't worry, I bite back.
Yeah, I mean, you could join in, whoever that was. I'm not sure. I didn't see the comment yesterday, but whoever that was, feel free to chime in on our Friday live show that goes at 3 o'clock Eastern time every week, and give your comment there and give Jesse an opportunity not to have to type a long message, but to tell his side of the story when it comes to that. And then you can chime in and tell your side. Go ahead.
More fun to go back and forth live.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I
didn't check the comments.
Some of these guys are, I'm not saying this gentleman is, but I get tired of these texting tough guys. If you want to have a conversation, chime in on a live show. We could do some back and forth. And as long as you keep it respectful, okay, that's all we ask. There's nothing wrong with having a difference of opinion than when we have, okay? But see, the thing I don't like is when you start getting into that's dumb, I mean, then it starts to become personal. But if indeed, I mean, there's been worse things that's been said in the comment section. Trust me. But if you feel that strongly, which obviously you do, then challenge us in the live show and give us a chance to respond without having to write War and Peace as our retort. So, Sean,
someone said in the comments they live in the same town as me.
Oh yeah, no, is that right?
Listen, I'm easy to spot when I walk around here. I mean, like
they might be old school Jersey though.
What's that?
Could be. I mean, down here I don't have jeans on and cowboy boots, so I stick out with my sneakers and basketball shorts.
Yeah, an outlaw you're not.
You got to get yourself one of those Adidas leisure suits like Ross, like what you see today.
Yeah. Did I tell you the story? I have a quick story. So me and my wife are going to visit my mother-in-law in Charlotte, and getting on the plane. I'm in a big rush. I got the two suitcases. She's in line through security. The guy stops me, and he wants to check my bags right off the bat. I said, what's the big deal here? I had this exact sweatsuit on. Okay. He says to me, he whispers in my ear, he says, buddy, you look like an effing mobster ready to shoot somebody. I'm just profiling you. I says, okay. So the boss comes along, the head of security boss comes along and says, is everything okay, sir? I says, well, other than your other than your agent stereotyping me as an effing mobster ready to shoot somebody, everything's fine. So anyway, I thought I'd share that with you.
Well, if you added this hat to your repertoire,
yes,
Ross, I'm sure it would push it over the top.
Absolutely.
Or you'd look at mobster with that hat, where Jesse just looks like he's running the cab stand. Like, all right, who's got you? He's still got a little cab stand hat on, like he's
Paperboy, maybe.
Taxi.
With that hat on, he looks like a bouncer at an Irish bar. So anyway, all right, let's see. We're going to be talking some college football today, and I'm going to be covering Mississippi State and Arkansas. Jesse will be looking at the huge Pac-12 battle between Utah and USC, and then Sean's going to be looking at Ole Miss and Auburn. And again, folks, you could find all three of us at gamblersworld.net. It's there where we guarantee our picks, single game or multi-game daily packages, and all subscription plans of 30 days or less are guaranteed that if you don't win, you don't make a profit, we will credit back your account the exact amount of your purchase price. So most of the time it's a moot point, but we all lose on occasion. And when that happens, you could be rest assured you'll be credited back. And just keep in mind, if you get a credit and you happen to lose, and you go to another handicapper, the same handicapper, and it happens to be a loss again, you're not going to get. The only thing you're going to get credited for, folks, is the money you actually take out of your pocket. So if you use $35 in credit on a $35 sale and you lose, you're not going to get $35 in credit. Okay, it's just we guarantee it to a point. So in any event, let's get on with the games. And Sean, let's start with you today. Ole Miss and Auburn, the number 13 team in the country, and Ole Miss. Again, Auburn showed signs of hope when they played Georgia real tough, and then the last two games, they've reverted back to form that we saw early in the year. Ole Miss just a 6.5-point favorite here in 56.5. Sort of a fishy line, I guess, if you look at it from the perspective of what both teams have accomplished so far. But it doesn't matter what I think. It matters what you think, Sean.
Yeah, and listen, we've kicked Auburn's back in a few times here on the show, right? We talked about it in Cal. People went crazy, and I think against A&M, people were upset I had A&M there. I'm taking Auburn here with the 6.5. Why? As bad as they've been, right? They keep dropping games. They have averaging, I think, 15 points a game. I mean, you take out their UMass game, 59 and 45 against Stanford. No offense. That's been a knock on the whole time. But yet here comes a big ranked team. It's a ranked SEC team coming in, 40 points a game. But really, who's Ole Miss really chumped up some points against? I'm not impressed with Ole Miss. Freeze versus his old squad. This is a game to me. It's just there's no real rhyme or reason for me looking at it, as opposed to I see a line that looks low. I got a team that can't score. I got a team that's scoring 40+. Give me the desperate Tigers at home on the Plains. Let's go Auburn.
So it's think like an odds maker here. Why is Auburn?
Because when I first did, I'm like, oh man, this looks like an easy Ole Miss play here. I had written down Ole Miss. I wasn't even really gonna Auburn's bad. I'm like, wait a second here. You look at the number. I'm like, something's not right in Denmark here. Give me the doggy.
Yeah. And the only thing that Auburn really does well when they do it well is run the ball. I mean, the thing is their offense, as far as passing attack, 5 games versus FBS opponents, they're averaging 119 yards per game passing in those contests. And you take away that UMass game where they threw for 203, and it's even embarrassingly lower than that. But in any event, Jesse, is Sean and me thinking, are we being too cute when we think that this is a fishy line and that Ole Miss is definitely the superior opponent here, or superior team, in this matchup? On paper, they certainly are. What do you think?
You guys are familiar with the expression, phony is a $2 bill?
Yeah.
Well, growing up, is it a $3 bill?
I know $2 bills are real, aren't they?
Yeah.
They are in Canada.
Yeah, there's a couple. I mean, they haven't been printed for a long time, but there's some in circulation. Anyway, go ahead, Jess.
Well, phony is a $3 bill, but anyways, yeah, I think Ole Miss's 5-1 record is phony. I mean, they don't have any impressive wins from where I'm looking at. I mean, even the game against LSU, they gave up 55 points, 630 yards. You can't think much of their defense. Their 2 road games so far at Tulane, they were lucky to win that game against Tulane's backup quarterback. At Bama, they got housed. And, Auburn, I don't think they're great. I think they can be competitive. I'll take the points.
Yeah. Again, I'm not going to use this as part of my card, but I agree with both of these gentlemen that this looks like a fishy line. Not only has Auburn been anemic offensively, but over their last 3 games, they're allowing 462 yards per contest and 7.5 yards per play. And why are they only a 6.5-point dog here against the number 13 team in the country, whose only loss came at number 11, Alabama? All right, so let's get on to the next game, and that's Jesse's game. And Jesse's going to be looking at a really intriguing matchup between number 14, Utah, and they'll be traveling to Los Angeles to take on the USC Trojans, the number 18 team in the country.
Ross, before we jump into that,
sure,
I got to say, the original expression was phony as a $2 bill. I had to look it up real fast. But in the 70s, they started making $2 bills.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They haven't printed them in a long time.
Yeah, that's how I was like, wait a second.
On occasion, you'll run across one that are still in circulation, I haven't in a while, but I have in the past 10 years or so. But in any event, phony's a $3 bill is the way we were going to go. It could be $2 bill. It doesn't matter. The bottom line is what Jesse's saying is there 5-1 is a fraud.
Here's one time I'm actually sorry I opened my mouth because I enjoy the $2 bill instead of the $3 bill.
There's a lot of times I'm sorry that you open your mouth.
Sean, I'm the type of guy that's going to go with how it was originally. I don't like changing things halfway through. So if the original expression was phony as a $2 bill, till the day I die, that's how I'm saying it.
Yeah. I still call them the San Diego Chargers, so sure. Let's go.
$2 bill aside.
And the Washington team. We know what you say about the Washington team.
And the Cleveland Indians.
All right, Jesse, the meat and potatoes, which I know will always give you, an alert bell. Number 14, Utah, at number 18, USC. USC is a 7-point favorite. The total in this game is 56. USC got their bubble burst last week with their first loss. All of us were on that, going the other way and taking Notre Dame. And did Notre Dame lay the blueprint on how you defend the USC offense is my question. And how does USC respond from that first loss of the season? And lastly, I know the USC has some issues defensively, but when you look at Utah's offensive numbers, they don't scare anybody, okay? They're getting it done defensively, allowing 14 points or less, I believe, in 4 of their 5 of their 6 games. One game, they allowed more than 14, and that was 21 points. So, Jesse, doesn't matter what I think. What do you think?
Well, first, let's look at the line. It's what did it open at? 4.5, somewhere around there. It's been bet up all the way to 7. That indicates that Cam Rising's not playing. I don't think anybody that knows what they're doing would have. We all would have assumed he's probably not playing at this point, but I don't believe it's actually been officially announced yet. But so I'm expecting it to be Nate Johnson and Bryson Barnes. Bryson Barnes, neither one of them has been impressive. Barnes was rather efficient last week in the win over Cal, but they actually broke out their secret weapon. And I don't know if you guys are aware of this. They had a guy by the name of Sion Vaki go for 158 yards and 2 touchdowns on 15 carries. But you know what's the most significant thing about this guy? No, he's a safety. So wow. they have their safety as their most dangerous offensive weapon right now. And, that says a lot about Utah's offense, that their most dangerous weapon is their safety. But, yeah, they've struggled to score even in the games they've won against UCLA, and even in the Florida game, they've struggled to score. That being said, this is one of the softer defenses they're going to face. Bryson Barnes and Nate Johnson have had time. They haven't really broke out and looked flashy yet, but they've been serviceable. And I kind of think it's a good matchup for Utah with their defense. And, you know, if they can run the ball at all, they should be able to stay in this game. USC has a difficult time putting anybody away because they can't play defense. And I think this line's all out of whack. USC, they lost twice to Utah last year. Utah's had their number over the years. Kyle Whittingham's a better coach, in my opinion. The question is, can they get any decent play from their quarterbacks? I'm willing to roll the dice if you're giving me 7 points. Let's put it that way.
All right, so Jesse likes Utah plus the 7 over USC. You know, Notre Dame only had 325 yards of offense in that win last week, but yet put up 48 points. And a lot of that can be attributed to the fact that they forced 5 turnovers, and they made Caleb Williams look like a true freshman quarterback with the pressure they applied, Sean. And of course, went hand in hand with some pretty good coverage in the secondary. Utah, like I said, really good defensively. And again, I think that Notre Dame exposed the weakness and how to handle USC's offense. And what do you think?
I do like Utah because they play defense. I prefer the under, though, based on their problems offensively this year and the way they play defense. So I do like the points, though, with Utah. It's like, man. Not that I want to say just jump into teaser town and pull it up to double digits, but I prefer more points just because, again, the offense is I like the under here, though.
Yeah, I agree with you, Sean. I mean, and to Jesse's point, if Utah is going to win this game, it's not going to be a 35-31 shootout. It's not going to be – they're going to have to keep the score down low, and they're capable of doing so. I know USC has still got a lot of talent on the offensive side of the ball and a ton of speed. And as long as Utah doesn't get hurt in the special teams game, because USC's return game is absolutely spectacular. I can't think of the one kid's name, but he is a terrific return man. But in any event, I have a lean toward the under here right now. USC, Utah under 56, but the official pick is Utah plus 7 for Mr. Jesse Schule. Anything else before I get to my game, guys?
As I say, just look at the last 3, 24 points, 42, and 26 points allowed by Utah against SC. So,
yeah,
you know, and then them putting up 40. That's what Cam Ryan, 47, 43, 42. He's not your quarterback right now. Under, baby, under. Let's go.
Yeah, forget about Cam Rising. I can't believe they'll even play him at this point. I don't know, unless they run the table and they win the Pac-12 and they have a shot for a playoff berth, which isn't out of the realm of possibility just yet. Although I think it's highly unlikely because of how competitive the Pac-12 is this year. And Utah doesn't exactly wow me with the eye test. I would say I would keep Cam Rising out of circulation for the year and apply for another medical red shirt. So what? Go ahead.
No.
Well, you said it's highly unlikely. I mean, it does kind of hinges on this game though, because if they beat USC on the road, I don't know where their next toughest game is, but
home next week versus Oregon.
Yeah, they can beat anybody at home though. I mean, does anybody want to bet against Utah in Utah? I don't.
There'll be a dog there. There'll be a home dog.
There will be a dog, but.
Sure. All right, I'm going to look at.
They wrap up the season at Washington, final game of the year at Washington.
So they play at USC this week. The Oregon at home, Arizona State at home, which is in a cakewalk. Then at Washington, at Arizona, who's playing. Arizona's playing really good ball right now. They showed that the last 2 weeks, and then they finish up at home against Colorado. So they still got a couple tough tasks at hand coming up. But no, it's not out of
the Washington game is one that there'll be a double-digit dog there. So yeah.
But I mean, look, if they win, like I said, if they happen to win out, and I think that's highly unlikely, that's just my opinion. But if they do, they'll be in the mix. But my point is, I don't know the medical redshirt rules. I know that Cam Rising, I believe, is in his 5th year. I believe that if you use the medical redshirt and he doesn't play more than 4 games in a year, that you're still eligible. But at this point,
that's what they're saying. And for both him and the tight end, they're saying could come back next year.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. And at this, at this juncture of the season, again, it'll depend on what happens. A lot will depend on what happens next week. And even if they do win next week, it might not depend on that either. I mean, they might decide, let's just start with him, a year under his belt, get healthy and see what we can do with what we have right now. Because quite honestly, even with Cam Rising, Utah still lacks explosiveness offensively. And in a conference where you're going to have to play USC, Oregon, and Washington in upcoming weeks, you're going to have to score, okay? You're not going to continue to win 17-10, 24-13. You're going to have to score. So we'll see. All right, let me get to my game, guys, and then we'll wrap up. Mississippi State at Arkansas. Arkansas right now is a 6-point favorite in the total 48.5. Arkansas has got to be the best 5-win team or 5-loss team in the country. I mean, if you stop and look inside the numbers here, they won their first 2. They've lost their last 5. 4 to 5 losses by 7 points or fewer. The last 2, they lose by 3 at Alabama as a 19-point dog and by 7 at Ole Miss as a double-digit dog as well. Now, here's the other part of the equation is Arkansas 3-0-1 to the over this year when the total is 56 or less. Those games average a combined 58.5 points per game. Mississippi State 4-0 to the over in their last 4 with a combined average of 62 points scored per game. This Mississippi State defense, especially their pass defense, has been horrific. They've allowed 288 plus yards passing in 4 or 5 games against FBS opponents this year. And believe it or not, the lone exception was against Alabama. If you watched Alabama this year, that's a team that their passing game is not as good, anywhere near as good as it's been in recent seasons. So I look for Arkansas quarterback KJ Jefferson to further expose that vulnerability in Arkansas to throw the ball a little more than they're used to in this game. With that being said, this is also an Arkansas defense over their last 5 games during this losing streak, allowing 31.4 points per game. Mississippi State during that 4-0 overrun over the last 4. A lot of that can be attributed to them allowing 36.5 points per game. The last 2 meetings between these squads have both gone over the total with combined scores of 57 and 59 points. The total 48.5. I almost talked myself out of making this pick because I said we're looking at these atrocious defensive numbers and the offensive capability, especially of Arkansas. Why is the total so low? But I'm not going to talk my way out of that one. I'm going to have a small lean. This is not going to be a premium pick for me, but given that I have to make a pick in this assigned game, I'm going to lean toward going over the total of 48.5 between Mississippi State and Arkansas. Sean?
Believe it or not, here I like the dog and the points. I know Mississippi State's bad. Yep. What does Arkansas have left in the tank? You mentioned their schedule. They're off another tough loss, and that's what they had that crazy BYU game where they were winning and they outperformed them. Ended up losing that game.
Yeah, they outgained them by like 170 yards in that game.
Close one to LSU. They followed up with a 12-point loss against A&M. Not terrible off of a late loss to LSU. Touchdown on the road to Miss, and then last week against Bama. What do they have left here against a team that's off a bye week? Listen, they're 3-3. They're kind of desperate to get a win, right? They're going to want to come in here. They're a little fresher. You lose 5 in a row in tough fashion.
Yeah.
And again,
3 of those were on the road.
This is like the other game where it's like you have a team laying a 6.5, and you're thinking, wow, you just got to win by a touchdown. That's easy. This team's bad. Easy to win by a touchdown at home. Give me the Bulldogs, Mississippi State.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you. It looks like another one of those fishy lines, but it's sort of, I was between a rock and a hard place looking at the side here. I said, well, Arkansas is much better than their 2-5 record. I'm not sure Mississippi State as good as even their 3-3 record indicates. And, Arkansas, the 5-game losing streak, 3 of them were on the road. All 3 were against currently ranked opponents in the top 25. And all 3 losses were by 7 or less. So, I mean, I don't know, Jesse, at what point does just too much losing set in and laying points in that situation with a team that's probably have the mentality that if the game is close down the stretch, and with having lost so many close games this year, when does that mentality set in? Or does that mentality set in and say, what's going to happen now that's going to cause us to lose this game, or here we go again type of mentality?
Kind of think that about both teams, but after a couple weeks into the season, seeing what they were doing with this Mississippi State offense, moving away from the air raid with the personnel they have and with the quarterback they have, they were on my fade list, and they're not ready to come off my fade list. There's no way I can back the Bulldogs here. I just don't like what I see. Will Rogers isn't he's not doing enough. He's getting sacked a ton. They can't keep him upright, taking a ton of sacks. And whatever their offensive game plan is, it isn't working. I kind of think Arkansas can.
I term it as a lack of identity, Jesse. You know what I mean? Because they went from this pass-happy spread offense with Mike Leach to this guy taking over and deciding he was going to invent the wheel. And you could see just in the performance of Will Rogers, who put up monster numbers the last 2 years passing, the team just lacks identity. And when that happens, I don't really trust teams with a lack of identity, especially when they're trying to make an abrupt type of change here in their offensive philosophy. So I agree with you, Jesse.
Great way to lose the locker room as well, to make a change like that with a team that's used to playing and has had some success in the air raid system, and then you move away from it. You'd think the players on offense wouldn't be too keen on that.
Well, especially if they were recruited with the type of offense they were running under Mike Leach in mind. Yeah. And then probably not really realizing when this guy took over on an interim basis last year that they thought everything was going to be status quo going into the season. But
and Will Rogers would have been touted as a potential NFL draft pick. He was putting up those kind of numbers where he could be considered one of the top up and coming quarterbacks. But you look at his numbers this year, and I'm sure nobody's talking about drafting Will Rogers.
Not at all. He's just totally uncomfortable. And the bottom line is that if Will Rogers would have foresaw what was coming in terms of offensive philosophy,
probably would have transferred out.
Yes, exactly right. That's exactly what my point was going to be. All right, let's get to wrap things up here. And we always wrap things up by telling you folks what we may have going on this week and how we've been doing of late. And I'll begin with you, Sean, because you've been doing very, very well over the last week.
Yeah, well, the numbers are there on gamblersWORLD. You see them. Nice weekend of college and NFL football. I do have Major League Baseball for today posted. Game 3, Texas and Houston. NFL Thursday night is posted. And I'll be adding the Saturday and Sunday football cards as well this week. But a lot of football, and let's be honest, we got World Series right around the corner because these games, a couple games left here in these championship series. We got World Series next 10 days away, whatever. Exciting. Yes. I like baseball. Baseball's my favorite sport. I like baseball more than watching NFL. College basketball is right up at the top too, but baseball's my favorite. I don't know. I like all the intricacies. So
this has been a weird postseason, Jesse, in baseball, where we've seen Tampa Bay, a 98-win team, go down in the wild card round. Baltimore get a 100-win team, number 1 seed in the AL. They go down. They get swept, actually, We saw the Atlanta Braves and the LA Dodgers go 1-6 combined in their divisional round series and be eliminated, both 100-win teams. And I can't recall where we got down to this point where all these elite teams have been. I've seen it happen where, it's been a World Series we didn't expect, but to get to this point where it's just the league championship series and have no elite teams left is sort of odd. But anyway, any thoughts in that regard, Jesse, and then tell the folks what you may have coming up.
You think that's weird, Ross?
Yeah,
because I'm hitting 77% for the playoffs, so it looks like it's all going according to schedule for me.
But I mean, it reminds me a little bit of what happens on occasion in the NHL playoffs, Jesse.
But that's why we watch. That's why we love it. That's what sports is all about. This whole the better team should win every time. We're going to have to change the rules to make sure this doesn't happen again. I mean,
all right, but
I like seeing underdogs
right
win.
There. I'm not implying that I'm disappointed that all these big teams lost. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about the rarity of the situation. I
didn't think you were implying that, but I'm sure you've seen it in the media that we need to change the rules because we can't have this. We can't have this happening. The Dodgers are gone. The Braves are gone. What's going on? It's like the sky is falling. Well, the sky isn't falling for me. I like to see teams spend a whole bunch of money on players and fail, and then chemistry and grit and heart overrule,
And the Dodgers should learn. The Dodgers had no pitching this year. No pitching. And we see in postseason, guys get hot. You need that third pitcher to come and get hot. You advance. The Braves had one pitcher. Braves had one pitcher this year.
I was talking about that it's very same thing with my buddy last night on the way to the Sabres game.
Orioles. No stud frontline pitcher for the Orioles. Tampa Bay.
Well, what about Atlanta? Take away Spencer Strider, and really, who was a consistent starter for them?
Freed for half the season, so he was hurt.
Yeah, again, consistent being the key word. And then Atlanta's bullpen was okay. They weren't dominant. And what we're seeing right now are teams that are left right now whose bullpens have been extremely good over the last couple of weeks. So, again, there's something to be said for that. Anyway, we're getting off track here. Jesse, tell the folks what you got coming up, my friend.
Okay, last night I had 3 games, 1, 2, or 3, but the one loser was with college football. And I want to punch myself for playing midweek college football. That's against my own rules, and there's a good reason why. But I did win with hockey and baseball playoffs. And tonight I do have more hockey and more baseball playoffs. I did mention hitting 77% with baseball playoffs this year. So that's rolling. And myself and the plus dollar daddy down there, number 1 and 2 in the NHL in 2023. The leaderboards are posted on my Twitter. So, you come see me at gamblersworld.net. And tonight you get 2 games, baseball and hockey.
The 2 ice heads are doing very well, and you're really going to the NHL. So who would have thought the guy from Texas? Well, he is from Jersey initially, and Jesse is he resides in Thailand, but he's a Western Canadian, born and raised, and Jesse will not only he does it from Thailand now, these podcasts, but next week he'll be in Malaysia. So he's all over Asia. And he's going to be on, and nothing stops him. The time difference, where he's located, he's here, folks. He's a trooper. All right. You can find me at gamblersworld.net. Again, I know this sounds redundant, but I did lose yesterday. But the streaks are still good, folks. All sports, 56-30 since September 12th, 104-66. Since August 4th, which is good for 61%, even though I had a 4-6 week last week in college football. And to Jesse's point, I went 0-3 in the weekday games, bounced back with a 4-3 Saturday. I'm really ticked off of myself for succumbing to some of these site owners that pressure me to put out a college football game just because I've sold a lot of subscriptions. The idea at the end of the day is the win for clients. Anyway, college football 24-11. since 9/14, 46-25 since December 2nd. NFL college football combined 40-21, 66% since September 14th, and my Major League Baseball since August the 4th. 46-27, which is good for 61%. And folks, I don't give out big money line favorites, so your return on investment and a 46-27 will be much better than the majority of the rest. So anyway, you can find me again, gamblersworld.net. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please take a second to do so. It costs you absolutely nothing. There's no strings attached. There's no hidden agenda. There's a WC logo right there in the bottom right-hand corner of your video box. If you're watching on your PC, just click on that. That'll get you subscribed. And if you're watching on your mobile device or your smart TV, which most of you are, you'll see a black subscribe button right underneath the video box. Just click on that. You're set to go. And then take one step further. If you're a new subscriber, or if you're a subscriber already that hasn't done this, go into your YouTube settings and hit that alert notification bell. And that will alert you immediately upon us releasing any of our great podcasts here on our great channel. And we can't thank you enough for all the support you've given us, folks, in not only in recent months, but over the last 3 years to get to the point we're at. Okay, Jesse, there's a like button right underneath us. What do you want the folks to do?
Smash that like button.
Smash that like button, folks. So it's just a small token of your appreciation for the work, time, and effort we put into this podcast, in the quality of the show, and to make you smarter sports better today than you were yesterday. And for Jesse Schule, Sean Higgs, and Ross Benjamin, we'd like to wish each and every one of you all the very best. Take care and God bless, folks.